Another DC film gets that green light and it's ready to start production early next year. Well, it looks like another DC character is getting their very own DC movie. And that character is CLAYFACE? Yeah, that's right, CLAYFACE. According to an article in Variety, another Batman baddie is getting their own time to shine. This time in a film as opposed to a series like The Penguin. Now, we don't know very much about this film. If it will be a theatrical release or an HBO Max movie remains to be seen. Same as to who will actually be directing it. What we do know is that Mike Flanagan will be writing it. And Matt Reeves and Lynn Harris, well, they'll be producing it through their company, 6th and Idaho Production. Flanagan, whose other films include Hush, Gerald's Game, and Dr. Sleep, just to name a few, pitched the idea to DC back in 2023, and apparently, well, they liked the idea. And so here we are. Now, I have my theories about the film. I think that it will be an HBO film. CLAYFACE, while popular amongst hardcore Batman fans, simply will not draw the general audience into the theaters. At least I don't think so anyway. So HBO seems more likely. I also think that it will tie into the Penguin storyline somehow, and I'll tell you why. Eve Carlo. You remember her, don't you? Well, you should if you watch the Penguin series, because she was Oz's love interest throughout the entire thing. And if you noticed, she looked creepily uncanny like Oz's mother in Penguin's last episode. Now, how and or why does Eve possibly fit into this? Well, because her last name is Carlo. And the original CLAYFACE that premiered in Detective Comics was a lower-tiered actor named Basil Carlo, who fell into a life of crime using various disguises, and he used the name CLAYFACE. Now, that version of CLAYFACE, well, he was only around for a few stories, so yeah, I could be wrong with all this, but you have to admit that it's pretty coincidental. I mean, we have Eve, who has the last name of Carlo. The original CLAYFACE also has the last name Carlo, and here's the big one. The film is going to be produced through 6th and Idaho Productions, one of the companies responsible for producing the Penguin series, a company partially owned by Matt Reeves, whom we all know directed and co-wrote The Batman. Now, some might say, hey, you bozo, CLAYFACE is a dude. Well, yes and no. There was a female version of CLAYFACE for a while, and her name was Sandra Fuller. Sometimes she was just called Lady Clay. Not that any of that matters, but I thought I would throw it in there just in case. Now, will Eve actually turn out to be CLAYFACE? Well, hell, I have no idea, but she could be. Will she simply be related to and eventually become CLAYFACE? Maybe. Once again, I have no idea, but I'd bet dollars to donuts that she will tie into the CLAYFACE mythos somehow, some way, eventually, if not sooner. The Batman 2 is not supposed to hit the big screen until October 2026, so they have plenty of time to get this film made, especially if it's an HBO film. And seeing how it is set to begin filming earlier this year, I would bet that it is an HBO film, and we will see it towards the end of next year or early 2026 in order to set up the Batman 2. Now, there have been rumors for a while that CLAYFACE would be either the villain or one of the villains in the up-and-coming Batman 2 film. This could all be leading up to that. I mean, think about it. CLAYFACE shows up in episode 1 of Creature Commandos, and we now have confirmation of a standalone CLAYFACE film, who I assume will be played by Alan Tudyk, since he voiced the squishy bad guy in Creature Commandos. And Gunn has always been adamant that the voiceover actors in Commandos will play the very same characters in the live action film versions. Now, if this scenario turns out to be true, does this mean the film will be an Elseworlds product like the Penguin and the Batman were? Or, like WB has been wanting, and James Gunn has been claiming that he's been wanting, is this DC's way of segueing the Batman into the DCU, making it a DCU film? It kind of makes sense when you think about it. CLAYFACE has already made an appearance in the DCU via Creature Commandos. A CLAYFACE film beginning next year is being produced through Matt Reeves' production company. David Zaslav and WB have always wanted one cohesive DC universe. And Gunn, well, he just wants to control that universe. So maybe, just maybe, this is how Battinson makes his way into the DCU to become that one and only DC Batman. Now, I never thought in a million years that Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves, who both tend to make darker, more serious films, would ever want to take part in the type of movies that James Gunn actually makes. But I guess I could be wrong. Hell, I could be wrong about all this, but you have to admit the timing of it makes it seem logical. Well, in my mind anyways, it does. Well, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. Yes, another episode of Creature Commandos. Hey, wait. Now, real quick before I close, I want to point out a new video clip that Ryan Reynolds made as Deadpool with Kid Bull and the original Wonder Woman, Lynda Carter. It's brilliant. It's for a good cause, and it kicks DC right in the old gun sack. All for charity, of course. Now, I've grown tired of Reynolds lately and his shtick, but now, well, you know, he is my hero. I've posted a link to it down below. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. Well, that's it for now. Looks like things are picking up for DC Studios, finally. Feel free to leave any comments that you may have in the section down below. And if you like today's show, hell, why don't you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thank you all for stopping by. God bless and socks out.